We're back.
Hey guys, and today we are going to talk about one of my favorite movies, and it's a book too, but it's a Harry Potter. Because last Friday was International Harry Potter Day, so May 2nd, because May 2nd of 1998 was the Battle of Hogwarts, so that's why...
This is real?
Yes! So we were going to record about it the day of, but Jay doesn't really know anything about Harry Potter, or didn't know much about Harry Potter. And
I still don't. I'm not completely an expert.
I made her watch the movies, but I honestly can't do it again with her because she can't do long movies, and I was kind of going a little crazy because she kept asking questions, and it's like, just watch.
Yeah, and but the thing is I'm a type of person where I don't like when people ask questions during a movie, but that movie, you have a lot of questions for it.
Well, you just have to watch and pay attention. Because,
Listen,
a lot of the questions you had, it's like, well, just watch and it'll answer it.
But your mom is allowed to ask many questions, and I can't.
No, she would have questions about shows that we had already watched, and she'd be like, okay, wait, I'm lost.
Is we being for reals right now? No, she literally asked a question that was in the movie that they just explained like 5 minutes prior.
I don't know.
And she goes, wait, what happened?
I think
and you're sitting there explaining it to her, but when I ask a simple question,
no,
it's like, no.
No, she asked a lot of questions, and I was going crazy because I was like, just watch, you need to watch.
But another thing is they might have explained it in the movie, but I need a better explanation.
But not only that, I kept telling you, I'm like, I can't tell you because if I tell you, it's going to spoil.
And then she got very upset because in the last movie, part 2 of the last movie, I searched up who dies.
Yeah. I was like, you can't do that. That ruins the experience.
Because when Dobby died, I literally cried.
Yes, I know.
And I was like, I need to mentally prepare myself for who dies.
I think she liked the Harry Potter movies more than she thought she would, but
the last couple of movies I did, I wasn't a big fan
of
the first. I think maybe from the fourth movie on, I liked it. I wasn't really a big fan of the first 3 movies.
My favorite one is the third one, honestly. So The Prisoner of Azkaban, I've always kind of claimed that as my favorite movie of all of them.
Yeah.
But okay, let's start at the beginning though. Okay, so and guys, these are based off books. If you're not a Harry Potter fan, again, the books came out first, obviously, and then the movies are based off the books.
J.K. Rowling.
So the first one is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone.
She actually listed out the movies by their name. I just put first movie, second movie, third movie.
So in this one, Harry Potter starts attending Hogwarts, and one of the first big scenes is where they're at Hogwarts and they're about to be sorted into their houses. So guys, there's 4 houses. You have Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, Gryffindor, and Slytherin. And so they all have their unique traits and everything that they're known for. And I made Jay take the quiz to see what house she would go in.
I got Hufflepuff.
Yes.
Can we explain what the traits were that it said
So,
it was?
Hufflepuff, so they're their kind of mascot is a badger, but they're really more known for being trustworthy and hardworking and loyal.
Yeah, see, but what mine was, what was the first one that it said it was?
What do you mean?
On the quiz
Oh,
thing.
On your quiz thing? Oh, I don't know.
I know it was patience, loyalty, and
something probably trustworthy.
I think it was trustworthy.
I know you were excited because that's the same house as Cedric Diggory, who gets introduced in Goblet of Fire. But
I put Robert Pattinson.
She's a big Robert
Pattinson
fan. Yes. So
that kind of goes with the Team Edward or Team Jacob thing.
That different book and movie. Okay.
But I'm saying.
Yeah. I know what you mean. But anyway, so now when I took the quiz years ago, I got Gryffindor. So their mascot is a lion, which honestly goes with me. I'm a Leo, so
of course you are.
And they're more known for being brave and determined, and for kind of sticking up for the little guy. So But yeah, so that's the house I got in. Now, as we know, like the three main characters, like Ron, Hermione, and Harry himself, were all Gryffindors. But like, let's talk about this. So I think your biggest thing was when after they all got sorted and they were about to eat, the food magically appeared on the tables. And it's like,
that's how you know I was giving big back activity, because first of all, the food looked absolutely amazing. I was like, I need to teleport into the movie just to like eat the food.
I think we were both hungry at the time too. So it was like, oh,
yes.
How amazing would it be to just have delicious food
and
show
then
up?
Your mom actually liked the fact of like the drink one where it just automatically fills itself.
Right, the drinks refill themselves. Yeah. But no. So, what were some of the other notable experiences in the first movie that you wanted to talk about? Again, I know poor Seamus. I know that was one that you had mentioned. I was just gonna
say that Seamus blowing everything up.
Every time Seamus tries to do something, it blows up.
Kabam. Or Harry Potter. Okay, there's two things I laughed at, which I don't remember. Oh, was the part, was it part 1 or part 2? We'll get to that later. But no, of when Harry got dropped off at a doorstep.
Yeah, a baby. You thought that was so funny, and I'm like, he's an orphan. Why are you finding this funny?
No, but it wasn't that I found it funny, but I didn't even think of this until yesterday. I was like, low key, imagine getting dropped off at a doorstep like that, like, and you're a wizard.
Right.
And you don't even know it.
Aw, no, it's sad.
No offense to anybody who did get dropped off at a doorstep.
Now, the big thing for me in that movie is the Mirror of Erised, because obviously it shows you your heart's desires. So I thought that was kind of one of the biggest things in the movie to talk about.
Mine would be, never mind.
What?
I was gonna say mine would be a dad. Yours would be $1 gazillion.
Right. I just need like a cool $1 million, man. I just want to pay everything off and be debt free, and then have like a chunk to just live off of or survive on. And I feel like that could do it for me. But anyway, what were some of the other things?
What's the game called again?
Quidditch. Oh
That's
my gosh.
such a weird name for a game, though.
That looks like so much fun.
It does, but I did not like the fact that they were
Harry
spelling Harry
like the youngest seeker. Yeah, youngest seeker in a century.
Yeah, because wasn't his dad a seeker?
His dad was a seeker. Yeah. But yeah, and then Harry's like, people know more about me than I know about myself. Yeah.
Right. That would suck. But also him getting his owl and his wand.
Yes. I know. Oh my gosh. When the wand thing was happening, I was like, pay attention. You need to pay attention here. Like,
and I was paying attention.
No, she wasn't.
But can I say something? She might have thought I was spacing out, but I wasn't spacing out. And I promise you, I wasn't spacing out, but don't get me wrong, I would get distracted.
You would get distracted, especially by your phone. And then you would ask me questions, and I'd be like, you need to pay attention.
But like I said, I can't watch a movie that's more than like
2 hours. Yeah.
Maybe like an hour and 45 minutes
You
long.
did say that like you have to watch shorter movies because of your attention span. So
I get bored watching those movies.
But no, his wand was a big deal because it shared a feather with Voldemort's wand.
Yeah.
And then of course Hedwig was a present from Hagrid, and Hedwig is so cute. Oh my gosh, I love owls. But yeah,
until we get to the last movie.
Yeah, I know. Well, and you were looking things up, and this really annoyed me because I'm like, you can't be Googling things, because okay, guys, she got to a point where she was Googling who dies in like the Harry Potter.
Yeah, I was Googling who died in the last movie.
I'm like, you can't do this. It's gonna spoil it.
In the part 1 of the last movie, obviously, actually, we're not going to say that until we get to that, but someone died. Literally cried.
Yeah, she was bawling her eyes out, but I think a lot of people probably bawled their eyes out when that character died.
So I was like, well, and then the movie obviously ended, like, I want to say, like, 20, 30 minutes after that. And so I was like, well, we're going to watch part 2. I need to find out who dies in part 2. She's like, no, don't look it up. And even your mom
looking it up. Yeah.
And then I tried looking it up. I was like, gosh, dang it, it's not popping up. Like, it's popping up their actual names and not, like, their character names.
Yeah.
And your mom goes, haha, that means you have to watch.
Right.
And then, but I finally figured it out to where it just popped up the characters and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the second one. So Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. So I have my big things from there where I'm like, so guys, Hagrid was set up. He was set up. But anyway, we'll get to that later. So you were asking me if Dobby was responsible for some stuff, and I was like, yes.
I did.
Yeah.
Can you?
So you were like, oh, the car crashing into the tree, and I was like, the Whomping Willow, yes. And I was like, they had to do that because Dobby prevented them from getting on the platform. But like nobody knew Dobby was the one doing it, and for a while.
I asked that.
Yeah, you like, oh my gosh, you're so forgetful. Like it's
yeah, I don't remember that.
But yeah,
I did.
So and then of course Gilderoy was a disappointment. But what did you have that you was notable from the second one for
the
you?
fat lady flying away.
Oh.
I literally put, because you were writing this down last night, can I just put fat lady flew away?
Yeah, that was like in the beginning of the movie. Yeah.
Because obviously they made her like expand to the point where like she was like
a blimp.
flowing.
Yeah.
Like a big balloon.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of neat. And then obviously them crashing their parents' car and then Dobby appearing. Which I asked her if we can get Dobby and she told me no. Dobby's so stinking cute. It's so funny because he is so cute.
Yeah.
He's so cute. And he's like, I'm just a free elf.
She wants her own house elf.
Yes, he's so cute. But not like what other people would use like a house elf for. Like, I want to genuinely be friends with Dobby. You just want to,
yeah. you want
cute.
Dobby as a roommate.
He's so stinking cute.
But okay, anything else from the second one that you?
The freezing people.
The petrified. Okay, so yes, the
Frozen.
people that would get petrified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the poisonous snake where Harry got like, didn't he get bit or like stabbed in the arm with it?
Well, like when he was fighting.
Oh yeah, like when he like
arm
stuck
like
the sword
went in its
inside
mouth.
of his mouth.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we won't spoil anything else there. Was that all for your notable things from Chamber of Secrets?
Yes.
Okay. So let's move on to The Prisoner of Azkaban.
You better not take mine.
Because again, this I do feel like is my favorite book and movie. Of
I
Harry
think
Potter.
there were certain parts that I liked more of like the middle to the end.
Yeah.
I don't know about the whole beginning part of it because not gonna lie, low-key creeped me out a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, what did you want to bring up from The Prisoner of Azkaban?
Sirius Black.
Sirius Black.
Yeah, but wasn't he actually like Harry Potter's godfather?
Right.
So it's like he wasn't actually as like evil as people were making him seem.
Well,
it seems like.
Well, he had been set up.
Yeah.
So even though he was innocent, I mean, everybody thought he was this murderer and criminal. Anything else you wanted to bring up?
Draco getting punched in the face.
Yes.
What? Bam!
Yeah, Hermione got him a good one. I loved that scene too. I was like, all right, that's cool.
Right? And then the creepy flying people. That's what scared me is when they went on the train.
Oh, the Dementors.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just put creepy flying people. I didn't know what their name was.
Okay, yes, the Dementors.
But I don't know if you put this on your list, but I put them traveling like back in time because obviously like at one scene they heard a noise and then like Hermione's like never mind.
Yeah, you were like, oh, what did she see there? And I was like, I can't tell you because you have to just watch and
because
see. It'll spoil it.
In my mind, I thought it was like one of like Draco or someone in like the forest. So I was like, oh, that's what I thought. That's why I was like, what did she see?
Right. And that was one of the
That was like a big like plot twister.
Yeah, it was. And I was like, I can't tell you. It's going to ruin it for you. You have to just watch. Okay, was that the end of your list?
Yes.
Okay, so obviously Sirius Black was on my list, of course.
That's why I wanted to go first.
But, and yes, like, so Harry got the Marauders map from the twins and went into the village, and that's when he found out while he was kind of eavesdropping that Sirius Black was his godfather, and then the whole backstory there of what happened. And I'm surprised you didn't bring this up because you were a really big fan of Buckbeak. The animal that was eating the ferrets that they had to save. up.
Yes.
So, but yeah, so I'm surprised you didn't bring up Buckbeak.
Can we get ferrets?
No. And then Lupin. So I wanted to bring up Lupin because that's where they found out the difference between like an animagus versus a real werewolf. And that was another big thing in the plot with that one. But anyway, so let's go ahead and move on to the Goblet of Fire. So you really loved this. As soon as you saw that Robert Pattinson was in this one, you were like paying attention like none other.
Yes, he was so fine. That's why I put Robert Pattinson equals fine shite. And then obviously, the dance where Ron gets very mad at the fact that
Hermione had a date in the first place.
Yeah, and it wasn't him.
Right. Well, and then when he saw who it was, he was like really jealous.
Yeah,
like,
he was really, really mad.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know if you put this. Was it this movie where they were doing a bunch of challenges and they went under the water?
Yeah, because that was part of the Triwizard Tournament.
Not gonna lie, the fact that they were just swimming underwater, that was really creepy. Like the way they had like the people just like the people they were saving.
Right,
like
right,
they looked
kind of like frozen.
Yeah. That like creeped me out.
Anything else on your list from that one?
No.
Okay, so my list, of course, I mentioned Cedric because I know you're a big fan of that actor. So the big thing there was, the Triwizard Tournament. So the goblet only chooses those worthy of the tournament. Mm-hmm. And of course, the big scandal was that Harry was involved in it at all because they had put the age restriction on it. And then...
Well, yeah, because they're under 17, aren't they not allowed to use magic outside of, like, the school and stuff?
Well, they're that, but that's, like, when they're... Yeah, but this was different because they felt like the tournament and everything else kind of going on was too dangerous for anyone under 17 at that point. Yeah. So that's why they put the age restriction on it.
Flipping Harry Potter. He literally survived Voldemort.
So they didn't know how his name even got put in the goblet since they had put that age boundary on it. So that was the big thing there.
Did they ever figure out why? I don't fully remember if they did. If like why his name was in there.
You know what? I don't know because I haven't read that book. It might be in the book. I don't know.
I was going to say, I don't remember it being in the movie on them explaining why.
But you know what? That's the extension charm is the thing I wanted to talk about in this one because remember they went to the Quidditch World Cup at the beginning of the movie and they walked into like what looked like a tiny tent and it was like huge. So that's where like the extension charm kind of showed there. And remember in the last movies, Hermione had her bag and she was constantly pulling a bunch of stuff. And
I literally
did she just pull out a huge book from that tiny little purse?
Yeah, I was like, what is she, Harry Potter? And she goes, yes.
So I thought that charm was cool. And then of course I have the dance on here because of who Hermione's date ended up being and Ron kind of ruining everything. Okay, let's move on to the Order of the Phoenix. So this is where Umbridge gets introduced at Hogwarts. Nobody really likes Umbridge. So she kind of punishes the kids in unorthodox ways. And then, of course, that's when Harry created Dumbledore's army and when he was having, like, those visions.
Sorry, I had a sneeze, but I couldn't sneeze.
I know, I could tell. I was like, oh, no, is she going to sneeze? But what's from Order of the Phoenix? What did you take away from that one?
So that's where that lady with the... Oh, my God, I hate her laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hated that lady so much. Stop. No, I hated that lady's laugh. Okay, why? First of all, she's making so many unnecessary rules that, first of all, that's the most strangest thing ever. And why'd she put them all on a wall? And it's funny whenever, like, the twins came in and, like, blew fireworks everywhere. And, like, she came out and all of a sudden they went right in.
Right.
That was so funny.
I do love the Weasley twins. The twins are funny.
They're so funny. They bring, like, life to the movie.
They do.
And was that where Ron had, like, this girl that was obsessed with her, or was that the 6th movie?
That's the one after. That's the Half-Blood Prince. So are you ready to move on to that, or did you have other Order of the Phoenix stuff?
I'm going off the memory of my brain.
Okay, so let's go ahead then and go.
Oh, wait, no. the wall that like opened, that they could. Do you know what I'm talking about?
What do you mean the wall?
Like where only they could see it, and they would go inside of it. It would create a door, and they could go.
Oh, the room of requirement. Yes, yeah. That because that's where they would practice their defense against the dark arts. Because Umbridge was that teacher, and she wasn't actually teaching them how to defend themselves. So yes, that's when he created Dumbledore's army, and they would go into that room to practice without anybody knowing.
I hate the 6th movie. There's only one reason why.
The Half-Blood Prince, the next one.
Yeah, because didn't Dumbledore die? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
he did. And yeah, you were like, did he really die? And
I didn't believe it.
Yeah, you were in denial. You were like, no, like this is fake, or he's gonna come back or something. And it's like, no.
Yeah, no. Until I Googled it after I was like, kept on telling her it's a lie, and she's like, no, it's not. I looked it up, and he's dead, guys.
Yeah. Anyway, so in the Half-Blood Prince, was there anything in particular you wanted to talk about with that one? Do you have a list for that one, or do you want me to?
I told you I got it at the top of my head.
Okay.
But that girl who was obsessed with him, I found it
Lavender,
funny.
yeah.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, she kind of annoyed me a little bit too. But I like how like, not the fact that is it Hermione? Or Hermione, same thing. Hermione got very like upset. So like after the girl left, when like Ron and her like came up to them, like she walked away, and instead she said shoot. It was so funny.
So in Half-Blood Prince, remember Harry gets that potion book, so him and Ron are actually like kind of like wrestling over who's gonna get the new book, and Ron ends up getting it, and so Harry gets this old tattered potion book, but it actually ends up having like a whole bunch of like really good stuff in there from the Half-Blood Prince, who's really skilled at potion making. So Harry ends up doing really, really well in the class because of all the notes and everything in the book. And then, yes, that's where Ron makes the Quidditch team. And then, of course, Lavender wants to date him and everything, and they end up being a couple. And then that's where Malfoy, though, gets involved with Voldemort more. And then Slughorn, he's able to be recruited back to the school because he's got a memory with Voldemort that, Harry and Dumbledore need to know about to help them figure everything out. So there's a lot that happens in that book and movie, but those are kind of
I think the 6th and 7th movie is definitely like the more interesting movie.
It's definitely where I think someone like you who isn't really like invested in the books and the other movies and stories like are like, oh, okay, stuff's happening now, let's pay attention. Like,
yeah, see, because I don't like it to where it's like. I don't like it to where it's like, we're all dancing, all having so much fun. I need some this person's flying and getting chased after this person.
Yeah. Well, okay, then let's go to the last one then. So the Deathly Hallows. So that book was made into 2 different films. So part 1 and part 2. So yeah, that's where they found out about the Horcruxes. So they're, finding and destroying the Horcruxes. And then, of course, at the end is that big Battle of Hogwarts that happened on May 2nd, 1998. But a lot of stuff happens in between there.
I'm gonna cry.
Were you worried at all? Because you were asking me about Hermione at one point, and I was like, well, if she survives, so were you worried about her, especially when Bellatrix Lestrange was torturing her?
Yeah, because obviously she made her parents forget her to save her
right,
parents and everything.
And I thought that was so sad, and I was like, that is the biggest form of courage and bravery someone can have, is to do that, have her family completely forget about her and erase herself from their lives, that just to protect them.
Yeah, that's first very sweet, but also very sad. And yeah, because obviously, after you said if she survives, I'm every single time something happened to her.
I know. Well, because you kept asking so many questions, and I'm like, just pay attention and watch. I don't want to. I didn't want to spoil anything for you.
I think during the last movie, I wasn't asking as many questions as in the beginning.
You weren't, no. But I think I made it clear at that point that I wasn't going to tell you anything because you needed to just
I was getting
watch.
so frustrated because she wouldn't tell me.
Because you were already spoiling it for yourself from Googling who dies. And
but
I'm
also,
like,
can I just say, I predicted some things that were going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I predicted a couple things that were going to happen. But also, for bringing up Dobby.
Yes.
Because obviously after, like, they escaped from, what was her name again?
They were in the Malfoy mansion, so Bellatrix was the one that had Hermione, but they were able to escape.
But sadly, she threw this. What was it? A knife? That she
threw?
She chucked it and hit Dobby right in the heart.
It ended up getting into the evaporation that Dobby created to get everybody out to safety, and
and it was so sad because I always loved it when he goes, "I'm a free elf."
Yeah.
It was so cute. And then when he died, I cried.
Yeah, it was sad. I mean, there were a lot of like really amazing characters in Harry Potter, though, that unfortunately.
Just thinking about it, I want to cry because
yeah,
it was so sad.
I
loved Dobby. I wanted to keep him for myself and be friends with him.
Yeah, and then like one of the Weasley twins died as well in the battle. Like, I mean, there were a lot of good characters.
That
and it's like
was in the next part of it.
Yeah, it was sad. Now, one of my favorite parts though is where Mrs. Weasley is protecting Ginny, their only daughter, from Bellatrix.
Goes, not my daughter.
Bad word. The word we can't say. But yeah.
Beautiful.
But I loved the outcome of that little duel because Bellatrix had killed so many people, and especially, obviously she was the one that killed Dobby. So
she's lucky I didn't get my hands on her first.
So yeah. But so no,
or something I have to bring up that happened at the beginning of the movie is the potion that they drank to where they all like looked like Harry and everything.
Yeah, I really liked that part.
Where it's like they couldn't tell, which is funny because after like they got attacked and everything, one of the twins got hurt, like the dad was like interrogating Harry.
Yeah, well, they were all interrogating each other when they got to the safe space because they were like, how did they know who was who? Like, how did they know who was the real Harry? And then that's what, of course, when Harry was like, I think it's because Hedwig was trying to protect me, and unfortunately Hedwig didn't make it. That was the part that I felt was really sad.
Yeah.
But it's because, they were protecting Harry, and but yeah, so I don't know.
Was it Voldemort that was like, are you gonna let everyone else die to protect you? Was it him?
Yeah, when he was getting in everybody's minds after the first big battle.
Yeah.
But no, and and it's a whole big thing with like the Elder Wand and the Death's Cloak and the stone and everything. So there's a whole bunch more to it, guys. But we just wanted to really talk about Harry Potter because I'm a really big fan. I'm glad that Jay finally knows some stuff about Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But yeah, so last Friday, May the 2nd, was International Harry Potter Day. And again, we would have recorded the same day, but I wanted Jay to actually, appreciate and have something to talk about.
Yeah, because honestly, I even tried watching like the last movie, like the part 1 and part 2 on myself, but I tried watching the first one. I got like 10 minutes like to it, but I started to get confused once I seen Snape meeting with Voldemort and all of that.
Yeah, and you just you just have to like really pay attention the whole time and everything.
But for some reason, I don't know, maybe it's just because it was obviously like 3 o'clock in the morning when I was watching this, because I was watching Criminal Minds, which is out now. Go watch
Gosh.
Go watch that. But no, I was like low key confused because it's like, why was Snape meeting with them? But then like obviously you explained it to me, so it made a lot more sense.
But all right, well, we are going to end our Harry Potter discussion here, guys. If you haven't read the books, they're definitely worth it. If you haven't seen the movies, I would recommend. Yeah. And obviously, don't forget, you can check us out on our website at adocpodcast.com.
And we have a YouTube.
Socials, yeah.
We have our socials, ADOC Podcast. But I think they should go comment on the YouTube which Harry Potter movie was their favorite.
Yeah, I was going to put a poll. So on this Spotify, I'm going to put a poll on here. The question is, which professor would you assist in the Battle of Hogwarts.
Oh, that's why you asked me?
Yes. So we're gonna have either Sprout, Flitwick, McGonagall, or Slughorn. And it's funny because I would have said McGonagall, and you ended up saying McGonagall as
Yes.
well. But I
love
love
her.
the part where she used the one spell to get the school statutes to go defend the school, and she's like, I've always wanted to use that spell. And
I
was
know.
like,
She was like one of my favorite characters in the movies too.
For sure.
Which I was so glad that like she didn't die in the movies.
I know, right? I was like, oh. But okay, guys, so we will let you go and